So we all love Pear Deck. We've been using it like crazy with remote learning, especially the student-paced feature. But how do we give students feedback, especially descriptive feedback, inside of Pear Deck? So let's look at that. So I have run my whole session through Pear Deck. I set it as a student-paced session, so the students have been working through that. It's time for me to give them feedback or do a little grading. So I'm going to go down here and end my session. And I'm going to say, yes, I'm sure I want to end. And then I'm going to start naming it. So a really good idea to come up with some naming conventions that make sense for you. Maybe it's Financial Algebra, Period 1. And this little box will pop up when you name your session, Publish Student Takeaways. This actually creates a folder in your drive, but also a folder in your student's drive that takes a thumbnail image of every slide that they worked on inside of the Pear Deck lesson, and then also records their answer. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to say save and end the session. Return to Google Slides when that's done. All right, so I've ended the session. So how do I find that information to go back and give my students some feedback? I can go back to my drive, and in my drive, if I search takeaways, Pear Deck has made a folder for me called takeaways, and you can turn it green like I did. You can also, this is a nice tip, you can move it to your starred section too. So if you go over to your stars, you can just quickly access any folders that you go to often. So I'm going to open that up. And then you'll notice that this has named my sessions every time that I have student takeaways. So let's look at that. So if I open this up, for example, this was a session that I did recently. Here's a student takeaway. So here's all the students who were in that session and their copies of their takeaway. They each got a copy in their drive of just their work. If I open that up, then you'll see who the teacher was, when the session happened. You can ask students to do a little work here or summarize. You can go down through your session and you'll be able to see the slide and then their response. So you could, highlight this just like you do in Google and give them a little feedback. Give them a comment. So you can give comments, add information as you go along. They can also add more notes. So right where this says, use this space to take more notes, tell me more. Or you could assign that in your Google Classroom assignment, your Schoology assignment, the assignment that you give to the students. Go to slide 8 and give me a bullet list or give me a paragraph about what you wonder, what you think about things now, depending on what your session was. You can see all of their feedback. So it looks like that you need to study your continents, right? So you can comment. You can also ask them, they can share this with someone in their class. They could share this, you could share this with a tutor, with a parent, please help, or please notice that they might need a little bit more help on this. But you can use this takeaway for all kinds of feedback and response and ways to collaborate with students. Ask them to get feedback from 3 other students or compare and share their takeaways. So this is kind of a neat thing that Pear Deck does that might be a little bit hidden. So I hope you notice that and use that to give feedback, to extend your lesson, to give students some more ideas, and to really engage in the power of Pear Deck.